Honestly, the finals to me is a very good game that has a unique gameplay, unique type of gameplay that it has that's pretty refreshing for an FPS shooter that I haven't had for quite a long while, especially since with the type of shooters we get nowadays, including when it comes to its game modes, which to be honest is a very good refresher since a lot of game modes we have today is pretty ass and not really interesting. Like the fact that a lot of these game modes specifically have aspects of its game show like qualities in it, like quality in it with mixing with its theme is pretty good. But the point more with these game modes that I really enjoyed is its unique takes on it, like kill confirm. Instead of just getting the points and getting a higher number than others, you simply have to collect the coins that drops from each enemies, including what's dropped in each specific vaults that spawn in, and collect as much as you can to increase your team's score. And something like that I generally enjoy because it's very fast paced and a lot of people will be at each other's throats, generating a shit ton of coins with each death of each contestant, which I really like. It's a very different take on kill confirm that is drastically different, which is probably my favorite. And then you have the quick cash and tournament, where quick cash is basically kind of the same but not really. It's a version of safe search and destroy, but a bit differently. Where this objective is, well, no, I don't think it's similar to. I would say similar to like search and destroy, similar, but without permanently dying. Since the objective mostly is to get the vault, get in into the bank, and try to defend it as long as you can, so you can bank it, and during the process, any teams can come in and steal it to get the points for themselves. And if you die, you lose the majority of the coins you cashed in if you get a full team wiped. And I personally love this. It's a very fun mode that generally requires you to play as a good team player and be supportive of your team and make critical strategies, because with this mode you have to not just be cautious towards players but even your environment, because depending on where the bank is located, the bank could either be very beneficial and easily helping you get the win, or in worst cases heavily like screw you over depending on the location. Like say the bank is like on a structure that is on like say just strings. If a player just destroys the various of chains that keeps the structure up, it'll destroy the structure and causing the bank to fall on the ground where anyone could intercept to get it, which destroys any advantage you have, since you no longer have an advantage point to push people out and to take them out, making it very hard to protect the bank, since all the rubble that has fallen on it is going to make it very hard to get it, including enemies can use that as their advantage to kill you through it, making it a very cautious thing, since after all the environment and its destructibility is fucking great, but also can be fucking evil at times, depending on the amount it's destroyed, since it can really harm your chances to do anything in any game modes, whether it be bank it, cash out, or whatever. And then there's tournament. It's basically the same thing, but more of a tournament mode, where each groups of players would be fight against one another to qualify for the next round. And it's the same thing that goes in the second round until you can finally reach the finals, where you're against the other team. You'll be the last two teams in the finals, and you have to go against one other team, and you just have to win like the cash out, cash out the money and cash out the money in the bank, and you get the win. And I personally love it and hate it because of two reasons. Because one, I hate the fact that if you get tied with the enemy team, it takes fucking it gets very frustrating, because there's times where players should instantly win after doing pretty well and already banking the thing, and having the time exceeded towards the point where you should have won it, because it is ridiculous at times where the enemies can get a chance to, keep things going by reaching a tie. Like, it's pretty bullshit, but it's fine. It's whatever. But it's a really great game mode that really puts a lot of competitive aspects. And, this game mode, it is a bit different from Quick Cash because of one specific thing. It also adds like a fourth group into it. So, adds a bit more competitive. Or I could be misremembering. It was 3 and 4 was actually in Quick Cash. I could be wrong, but still, these game modes are really good, including when you add there's the inclusion of Power Shift that was introduced in the second season, which I really love. I would say I love far more than like Bank It, since it's pretty enjoyable and it relies on your team play. It very much reminds me of the times of playing Overwatch when it used to be very popular at the time. And I do like the fact that they took inspiration by the concept of the game mode that they came up with and took it and, created an interesting, unique twist on it, which I personally liked. It's a really good game mode. I find it very enjoyable. I love the fact that the thing literally goes straight through buildings and stuff, adding a lot of interesting plays and strategies to, try to, reclaim the platform from other teams. And a lot of interesting builds that players have come up with to actually, straight builds and strategies, which for this mode. The one thing I do hate is that there's not a lot of game modes, because there were some really good game modes they introduced for each event, like, Solo Bank It. That was my favorite, and I feel like something that players who just want to quick gun it or gun and run should have offered, because it's pretty dumb that they never really added this mode, since I feel like they should have. It's a really good mode and people generally do like it, especially since it's pretty good on one key figure, because you don't have to team up with players who generally don't know what they're doing and stuff like that. Also, then they also introduced Terminal Attack, which is basically Counter-Strike, and I understand why a lot of people fucking hate it, and it's pretty understandable, since after all, it has a lot of aspects that just feels too Counter-Strike and lacks aspects of the finals. The unique contested gimmick that it is all about. Like, it's, to me, could be very much improved upon, like, say, creating shorter maps that isn't too big, large scale, because the maps in the finals is just ridiculously big, very detailed and destructible. And I feel like they should have just shortened it, like design maps that's quarterly designed for this game mode specifically, which to me they really should have done, since after all it's too big and players can literally just take way too long for this. They should have shortened it. It would have been better for that, and they should have allowed players to revive other teammates, because I don't like that. It takes the match, like, to me, way too long when it's just one person, because it feels pretty unfair and they just aren't gonna win, because the finals has a bit of Overwatch in them, where if it's by yourself and fight against anybody yourself, instant win. But if you're with another player and there's like two individuals, more than one individual, your ass is gonna lose, because you ain't gonna win that, especially with the amount of health and this and that. Like, there are rare cases you can if you're a light player, since light players are pretty fucking broken, so they could actually make it, can actually do it. But still, it's just not really, to me, viable. It would be nice if you can just revive teammates and give them, like, say, either allow you to revive any player 2 times. Like, you can revive them once, you can revive them again, but once you spend all the revives, it's up and over, and you just have to rely on those who are left. And I honestly don't hate Terminal Attack. I actually genuinely do enjoy it. I just feel like they just shouldn't have made that mode, literally ranked, because it makes zero fucking sense why they would do it, and it just kills people's motivations, especially very long-time fans for this game's motivations to play the game mode, because it's a very stupid decision to just have that as that. Though I won't criticize it too much, because I can understand the reasons why they do this, because a lot of people since they're doing this, they wanted to get people more interested in the game by getting interest in the game. And I can understand this. The Finals is a really great game, but they suck ass at marketing it and make poor decisions when it comes to that. So it makes sense that they're trying to market it towards people who are who are a fan of like Valorant and other games like that to get interested in the game. I can understand that, but still they shouldn't have made it ranked or restricted players to only be playing that specific game mode, because you shouldn't do that ever when it comes to online games. You should allow players to play whatever that they're interested in and just leave them towards their own devices and let them figure it all out on their own. And force them to play something that generally isn't what the game is all about. Most of all, I do very much endure World Tour. That's probably their best decision that they've made. I find it pretty fun. It's a fun game mode to play casually, especially the fact that your ranks can give you actual free currency, which I very much like when online games are consumer friendly, offering ways for players to get virtual coins without necessarily needing the pot to pay. But I will criticize that the ranks should offer more V-Bucks, because it's pretty pitiful. Like 250 for gold, like that's pretty pitiful. Like I wouldn't really invest that much just to get that much. It would be better, like say for bronze, you get lower the amount of multi-bucks, like say 100 or something, but each ranking you get towards like say bronze, like number 1, you get like 500 like multi-bucks. And the more you rank up, the more higher you get in the amount of currency, making it far more enticing, since you can just play this to get enough to buy the season pass or something like that. But I honestly feel like they should just rework that. But still, the other aspects of it that's pretty good is the fact that you can get XP, like a shit ton of XP by just playing this mode, which is pretty nice. It's pretty quick. You don't need to grind the shit out of it. Just play for a bit and you can easily get it. The only ones you have to grind is getting a win in World Tour. That one could be pretty hard depending on teams, but still, it's pretty nice. And I think they also stated that there will be also items in like World Tour that you can get for playing it, which is pretty cool. And then there's this other issue I also have with the game, and it's introduction with newer weapons. I feel like the introduction of newer weapons is cool, since it adds variety and longevity, because players don't like to play the same shit over and over. But the criticism I have of it is that the weapons deeply need a buff. Like the FAMAS sucks dick. It's only good at when it comes to hip firing, and aiming down the sights with it is horrendous, and it needs a better sights on it. And it makes it really hard to appreciate the weapon, since the weapon has so many things against it that makes it really unviable to play in the game, since I rarely see people use it. Same thing with the majority of the weapons that's introduced in the game, like Heavy's new shotgun sucks ass. You don't see people use it, which is a shame, since the weapon feels amazing. And the aiming with it is horrible as well, because I don't like the person overhead with aiming it. It's just not really my cup of tea. And same thing kind of with the melee weapons. The melee weapons still need to be adjustments, but it's still pretty viable. I see people use the spear and the dual blades, which is good because they're being used, and that's never a bad thing. But still, they just need to do a lot of weapon adjustments and working on them to make them better and actually encourage people to use them, because what's the point of adding these weapons if no one's ever going to use them? And light, I very much agree with the mindset of many people that light needs to be nerfed or reworked, because the damage output they do is horrendous and everyone plays them. Like, it's non-stop. Like, if you play casual or even ranked, people generally play them due to the high damage output. And it's so frustrating because if you're a medium class or heavy class, you can't kill them quickly as they can kill them as quick. the time to kill with these fuckers is so fast it's ridiculous. Like, it just, to me, tells me that they really need to readjust the weapons in its entirety, or their weapons, either to nerf their, the amount of damage they do, or increase the amount of damage that other classes can do towards them. Because they're supposed to be a hit or run type of class, and they're supposed to, take advantage in situations to attack, but not do it overly zealous, because there's many times where players just can't have breathing room with them, because these fuckers should not be constantly buzzing around you. They should be attacking you once and just staying for a far distance and never taking huge chances and trying to, make ballsy chances and trying to kill you. They should never be doing this. They should be standing back, they be a little bit back, and not too pushy when they're near you. It makes it really hard to deal with them. It's even worse where they're given items that's supposed to be supportive, but it generally feels like it's far deserving for classes like medium, like say like recon grenades, since those should been given towards the medium, since that's the one thing that's very useful for that class to deal with light players, and light players don't rarely use them, like, ever, and I feel like only a few do. The only real useful support item they have is the thermal detonator, which is thermobore, I mean, is probably their best support item they have, which is pretty useful for terminal attack and quick cash. It's just a shame that they don't have have any other items besides that to me feels befitting for their nature. And I feel like they should just develop some new items instead of giving items to the class that a medium class has, because that's, to me, a bit ridiculous to give them things that medium has that works for them and then for light. I also feel like they should also do more with what you're allowed to do with the virtual currency, not the ones you buy. I'm talking about more of the ones you use to buy items and weapons. I feel like they should, bring that back from season 2, where you can spend the currency you earned to re-roll challenges. That would be nice. It would also be nice if that can also be applied towards even I forgot what that board of challenge is, but it's whatever. That's generally all the issues I think they should rework on. Oh yeah, I forgot. That would be pretty cool if they allow players to create their own custom arenas. Like, that would be cool if they give forge tools towards the community. Like, they already gave the community a opportunity to create their own modes and whatever, where players can just fuck around with one another in their own sessions. It would be nice if they did that, since players can come up with some pretty banger arenas. That would be pretty nice. And I honestly do hope they bring back some of these game modes and just make them into casual, so players can just play them on the go and then just wait for an event or something like this, because it's such a waste opportunity to me.